race is very competitive. It's so funny because, you know, people are like, why are we off the turf? And it rained hard. It rained hard overnight, and not just like a steady rain, but like a buckets of rain.
We had an inch of rain, yeah.
And it's like, well, we're off the turf because we just want to be off the turf. Who likes turf racing anymore? It's just, you know, we're off the turf because it's precautionary. We did get a good amount of rain. And I went outside this morning and I'm like, we're probably going to be off the turf. It still looks pretty damp. I'm trying to use like the yards as like
it's
a
a good point
stick.
though, because when you ask that, I mean, we don't ever want to be
Of
off
course
the turf.
not. No
I
way.
mean, it hurts field size, it hurts handle, it hurts people that were intending to run on the grass. That's the last thing you want.
And handicappers, you want to play
Right.
them. Turf racing is fun. You get a lot more pace, you know, things like that. The horse is pointing to it.
Right, you can't dictate what Mother Nature does. So,
Yeah.
you know what it is, what it is. Hopefully the rain stays away for the weekend. We're going to get the roller out there either Friday or Saturday on the grass, get that ready for Sunday. Then the rail gets moved out another 10 feet before we go all the way back inside in about 3 weeks to get ready for the Hawthorne Derby and the Cary Memorial on the grass. But that will be coming up in a few weeks. But again, hopefully we're back on the turf on Sunday. But again, 5 races off the turf, everything on the main track today. It is a fast track. In the opener, Emily would go 5.5 on the dirt. 20 claimers, now winners of 2 lifetime, scratch the 5 AP Blazing Green, 6 Dastardly Deeds, and the 8 and Nagy and the Bears. Still leaves you with a field of 6 to line up in the opener. Right now, Royal Mendy from the barn of trainer Chris Davis is your current 2-1 favorite. How do you see things unfolding now on the main track here for race number 1?
I thought this is one of those races that are tricky, and I thought it was tricky even before. I don't think the surface switch matters too much, but kind of my main opinion in here starts with Royal Mendy, who's currently 2-1. This is a horse I just wanted to play against if they were going to be favored and at a short price. There's been a pattern of no finishes. It's another horse that had been running a little bit longer. So if I was going to take a horse that's going to change distance, I wanted to give a chance to number 2, Giano. Giano's at the right level for their abilities. I don't mind stepping up to take on winners for the first time as long as they're staying at that claiming level, has plenty of foundation. But just in terms of Royal Mendy, I just thought, yes, this is probably the horse that projects to be favored for similar reasons, coming in, new connections, new face, but just wanted to take on with that pattern of no finishes.
Yeah, I can't blame you there.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where depending on what the price is going to be, might be worth taking a shot. This was almost, and I say almost a really cool race because you would have had 2 sets of full brothers running in the same race in here. AP Blazing Green and Nagy and the Bear, full brothers. Poncho Attack, Bruce Attack, full brothers in here. So kind of cool, at least for that lineup. Poncho Attack is who I picked on the turf. I'll stick with this one on the main track because Vance Childers stays in this race. Royal Mendy can show speed. Maybe Giano shows a little bit of speed. Poncho Attack's a far better racehorse on turf. You're going to need some price compensation, but right now you look, Giano just took a massive hit there, currently a 1-5 on the board.
Someone
so
must be
get
listening.
Some value with everybody else.
At least we know I have the volume up, baby.
That's right. So right now, 1-5 there on Giano in race number 1. Race 2, $5,000 claimers, now winners of 2 lifetime. They go 3/4 of a mile. It's a field of 7 to line up. Sometimes you assess the favorite and just say you're not going to get by the favorite in here. I thought that was the case with the 4, We Miss Arlington. Did you feel the same way in this spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just has that class edge. They're looking for the right spot to compete, and then tough to just deny the pace scenario. They have early speed that should be controlling in here. So checks all the boxes. We Miss Arlington as the horse to beat. I'm trying to get creative for a horse to maybe run underneath, or maybe in that slim chance pulls off an upset, would be number 1 Stolich. Second star, you mentioned Vance Childers in the opening race. Second star for this barn, and this would be the time to put forward a top effort, making that change, has the foundation, a subtle distance change as well, with the added ground from the 5.5, I think will make a difference for this individual.
Yeah, the intriguing thing to me could be send him down the road only for the fact that the horse can show some speed, and this is a race without a whole lot of pace, but I think We Miss Arlington will keep things honest, won't let that horse scamper away early on, should pounce in the lane. Champagne Mike's a horse that I know they've been waiting on to kind of pounce up, and man, you talk about plunging. They're taking that one from the other then down for the 5-9-2. If you're looking for a confidence boost, that's the way you hopefully try to get it with that horse.
It's probably where he fits, all things considered. I mean, the race that he won, breaking his maiden on debut at Oaklawn Park, was a huge effort, but that field has just not been very good.
Right.
So it's one of those that it was very eye-catching, but we kind of say, like, who did he beat? And I think that just, you know, they give him a chance in allowance company, why not? You find out what you have, lightly raced type, and horses, they're right where they fit.
And this is a horse that, again, you might get a decent price because We Miss Arlington will take that action. So good luck to all the connections there, some friends there with Champagne Mike. Race 3 off the turf, 5.5 on the main track, stretch 1, all in sync, stretch 2, Grand Hideaway. Big one draws in the 9, Onasa. This one gets into the spot. It's going to have a big shot. Novgorod the Great, I think, probably moves up on the main track, although I'll be curious to see what happens while sprinting for that racehorse. Cyclone Attack again. I picked the Vance Childers horse on the turf. I'm going to stick with it only because he stays in and you're going to be a price, but Onasa really moves up in here.
I think so too. It's just really going to come down to the pace as well. It's very muddy with that surface switch. The distance changes on a lot of horses, and then a horse like number 5, Mr. Kelly, like you said, you're going to stick with that pace. I'm going to stick with Mr. Kelly almost kind of for the same reason. Is you have a horse coming off a layoff. They were looking for the turf. They decided to stay in. Probably race ready. We'll see on the board. Maybe I could make some different decisions if I see it's a little bit cold or negative visuals, etc. But we also mentioned, as you mentioned early on, the rails moving and things like that. We are kind of starting to wind down in the meet, because when you think about it, there's still, what, 6 weeks or 7 weeks left. But in terms of a horse, that's, 1 or 2, 3 starts, maybe if you're trying to squeeze it. So you really have to start thinking of those things from like a tactical standpoint, placing horses. Yeah,
definitely worth the look. Some horses that shipped in that stay in, one of them in here, Into the Sunrise from the barn of Kenny Cross, does stay in. Olaf Hernandez rides that one, but I thought that horse had a shot on turf or dirt. So see just kind of how things unfold. But yeah, Onasa is definitely going to take that one's share of action in race number 3. In the 4th, condition $5,000 claimers. They go 3/4 of a mile in this spot. Scratch the 7, that's Wild Woods Warrior. Alianabi's the horse I laid as the favorite, but I thought it was going to be a vulnerable favorite. First, Masamoon is the one I ended on. I know you gave a little bit look to ZU Soon. I liked that one first back and didn't run a whole lot, but did improve in that last out.
And that's the angle, just starting to steadily improve race to race, and they've shown that in the past. So Cheryl Weinbaum maybe has a big day, because I've given a look to a lot of those runners, and just moving forward with each race, has enough tactical speed to sit right there with Alianabi, with Uncaptured Pulse, who could probably get a little bit overlooked as well, so keep that one on the radar. First, Masamoon, I just, I had a hard time with this one, because I think this horse is probably supposed to win this race. But the question is, when you're coming back off that 42-day freshening, is it a case where the horse is going to run back fresh, just needed that time off to just kind of regroup, or are they kind of starting to go the wrong way, and now they're going to find out if he's back to form? But yeah, I could go either way on first Masamoon in here. I just had a really tough time handicapping ahead of time.
And the only reason I put him on top was because the first start of the year off the layoff, he ran a pretty good second while sprinting in there, and they had waived the claiming price in that spot. So it was one of those where they were trying to protect that day. Rachel Slavinsky back in the saddle. Again, Alianabi just so consistent. It's just a question of how much action that one takes in race number 4. Race 5 comes off the turf. Everybody stays in. We go 1 mile and a 16th in this spot. $20,000 claimers, non-winners of 2. Maybe the prices move around a little bit with the shift from turf to dirt in here. Diamond's Joy was the one that I laid as the favorite on the turf. But some others move up. A horse like Blaze Beauty moves up. Surprised me again. Probably moves up in this spot. I'll be curious to see, maybe even a horse like Catholic Sue as well. So this turns out to be maybe a little bit more intriguing race now.
It was a tricky race to begin with. I gave a long shot look to Blaze Beauty. I really didn't mind the races that were on the turf. I thought they were a little sneaky, a little bit buried in the form, the added ground. Another one that's coming in with a positive form cycle pattern off a wide trip last out at FanDuel. The added ground being a positive, starting out around 2 turns. And kind of like you said in the race analysis in one of the earlier races, sticking with the horse on the turf, I mean, nothing really changes too much, and if there's enough price compensation, I'll stick with Blaze Beauty. I think the horse runs similar races on the turf and the dirt in around 2 turns.
Eddie Essen Price has a couple horses that he brought up here for today's card that are in with shots and in with shots at prices. This is one of them. Victor Balan comes with to ride the horse too. I think that's a definite plus as well. You are going to get a decent price. That one's 10 to 1. I went with another 10 to 1. I went to Catholic Sue in this spot. She's definitely bred to run all day. She's been on the turf in the last couple. Ran a better race in that last out. But on the main track, you see those starts back at Lone Star earlier in the year. Pretty solid performances. Maybe sits in that second flight. Could pounce on some of those favorites into the lane. But I'm hoping Catholic Sue can jump up there into race number 5. Race 6 today is one of the other Essen Price horses that we were talking about. Allowance runners that go 1 mile and 70 yards in here. I did give the nod to Gold Smoke. That was a massive effort in that last out. Could they bounce? Definitely. If they don't, the horse repeats that performance, could be right there. But you get McQueen coming back off the West Virginia Derby. Category 10, who's been so consistent. Hoppin' John, who's a horse that I thought was a pretty good claim out of that start 3 back. And then even Valiant West has been consistent. This overall is a pretty solid field.
And then you left off the 2 horses that I went to. To just show how competitive it is altogether. And I really looked at this race from a total race standpoint, because as you mentioned, there's so many horses in here that fit as individuals. So put all the pieces together, comes down to the pace scenario where you should have an honest pace. McQueen has early speed, Category 10 is early speed. They should be kept honest by Valiant West. And then some of those other horses, Gold Smoke maybe sits a little bit closer today. Atkins, probably one of the better closers, maybe is offering a little bit more value than Gold Smoke. And the horse that I went to is number 1, Boogie Bodie, making that start for Jim Watkins, coming in from Kentucky. They had to wait out that jail period. Coming in from Kentucky, you have to wait before you ship out and run. I think that's a positive. Could just get the right trip in here and have that intent as they are going to run first out. That's the direction that I went in a very tough competitive race.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get every bit of that 10 to 1 in that spot, but the horse did not run badly by any means in that last out.
Had trouble at the start, had weather 2 back. There's things to like. They're at the right level to compete. And Watkins had a live runner in Frosty Claire, who we're going to see today? No. Next Sunday.
Yep,
Sunday.
I was just looking. I was handicapping that card earlier.
Okay,
today,
yeah, I was looking at it too. So I was like, I just saw that name, but Frosty Claire ran huge that day. It took a lot of money. So that's a barn that can go kind of hot, cold, and could be on the upswing.
Yeah, definitely worth looking into when we move ahead to the Sunday card too. Race 7 off the turf, mile 70 yards, $20,000 claimers. The 3 horses that all figured on the grass are out. The 6 Salem Solo, 7 Battle Scars, 8 Monster on the midway. It leaves you with the remaining 5 in here, and it makes it a much tougher race. I thought Lavender Earl moved way up because this is a horse that now is probably loose and lonely on the lead, and if the horse can scamper away, could very easily steal this race.
He absolutely could. Definitely has that scenario where they can get out there second off, has that early speed, but I'm hoping the horse that I'm going to stick with is number 1 Parkland, who has early speed. Wasn't the ideal placement last out. This is a much better spot, and with the complexion of this race change, should just sit right behind Lavender Earl and maybe just has that edge in here, sticking with Parkland.
I picked Parkland second in this spot, yeah, especially coming off the turf. I thought this horse moved up. It wasn't a bad race by any means in that last out. You're not going to get the price on any of those horses there because all the favorites have scratched out, but we'll see how things unfold there in race number 7. The 8th race, I like this race a lot. Condition 5 claimers, we go 3/4 of a mile. The reason I say I like this race is because so many horses are in with a shot, but you may be able to find some value in here. I ended up with the 6 Russian to Win on top in this race, but be curious to see what your thoughts were. Did you think Hurt So Bad could scamper away, or do you think things are going to be a little bit honest up front?
I think it, like looking at the pot, it looks like it's going to be honest up front. Hurt So Bad should be there, but it's going to be kept company. Recarino has early speed, and then on the outside, Can Mandu. We've seen them wire the field, so they can get loose on the lead. And the horse that you like, Russian to Win, has early speed as well. So those 4 can get out there and keep the pace really honest. And I think that would assist a horse, number 1, Tony's Morning Line. I think, as you mentioned, I think probably how they bet this race is going to be another part of the puzzle, because there's so many horses in here, and it is going to come down a trip that maybe drifts up a little bit with Tony's Morning Line, is able to just save ground, sit behind that first flight, get first run, and then get first run on number 4, Patty's House, a horse that's been running consistently good races, just needs some pace to run at, and he hasn't had that in the most recent start. I think that's played against him more than anything.
Yeah, and Patty's House been better again since returning to Hawthorne, a track that he's run well over. Tony's Morning Line I did have in the mix also. Russian to Win, I just like that they're getting back to the sprint in here, and they're getting back to a level where they could be competitive. And they ran okay their last 3. Those were just against much better company, and I think this horse fits really nicely in that spot in race number 8. In the finale, off the turf, a 1 mile and 70 yards, no high 5 wagering as we scratch the 1 Uncle Chuckle. The late scratch was a 3 Street Fest, and take out the 4 License to Steal, and the 7 Lone Return. Luis Colon rides the 5 Azoy in here. From that field of 6, that's where I ended up in the spot, the one from the barn of Bill Morey. How about you?
Same way.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with Azoy. I think makes a lot of sense. The barn coming in, remaining on this circuit, where numbers stack up on par, has tactical speed, and just should be in the right spot, right field to compete.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the race that came off the turf in the slot 2 back was a good, solid effort. I just think the horse is sitting on a good performance. Young Mischief could show a little bit of speed. Midterm probably shows some speed. This one just tucks in right behind. I think bide their time, and then they rate and run on late. I'm with you. I like Azoy in the finale as well. All right, that's how we see the 9 races today. Again, first off, Mother Nature was not good to us with the rain. Better to us so with the heat today, because it was extremely hot Monday,
Brutal.
Tuesday, and
Absolutely.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's cooled off a bit. Temperatures in the 80s today, slightly short in post parades, but not necessarily what they would be over the course of the past 3 days. So see how things unfold as we do go throughout the course of the racing day. Do make sure you get your wagers in early. But let's take a look at the field once again for the opener. We're off the turf, 5.5 furlongs on the fast main track, $20,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. Take out the 5, AP Blazing Green, 6 Dastardly Deeds, and the 8, Nagy and the Bears. Emily, right now, 2 to 5, On the 2, Giano, that's who we'll start out with in this spot. I guess my biggest question more than anything on Giano is 5.5 really the right distance?
The thing is, we don't really know,
Right.
because the one race that they ran at the sprint distance was the debut back in November of 2023, and then after that race had a layoff and has been around 2 turns ever since. So we really don't know. I think what makes sense on Giano in here more than anything is just the class level, because a lot of the races after were just in those maiden special weight races were very tough, and even those $20,000 maiden claiming races on the turf or taken off the turf, he just showed this is where he can compete. I think he's worth a look in here. I don't know if he's 2 to 5. I think you might
Right.
want to be a little bit patient, but I think that number could change a little bit, especially with number 3 Royal Mendy. Just with that late money coming in, things could level out.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking at a big victory at a short price in that last out for Giano, but that was a much different race complexion coming off the turf there, going 2 turns as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, today's race par is probably softer.
Yeah.
So if he runs back to that effort, and no reason to see why not, because he's been consistent. It's just about finding the right group.
Yeah, 1 to 2 right now on the 2, Giano. The 3 is Royal Mendy. Royal Mendy right now at 4 to 1 on the board. Julio Felix will ride this one today for trainer Chris Davis. This is a horse, and that last out was on the synthetic at Presque Isle Downs against Optional Claiming Company. A 3rd place effort in there. The horse has some speed. Another one that's back sprinting once again today. Race that comes off the turf here, but I think this horse figures just fine on the main track as well.
I don't see why not. He'll be first time on the dirt. Every race has been either on the turf or on the synthetic, and up until the July 31st race, the race he's going to come back from, that was off a 2-month break. He hadn't been sprinting since his debut, so the connections probably thought this was a horse that did want to go a little bit longer. They are going to keep them sprinting, but also running for a claiming tag. There was just a lot of question marks in there with things changing around a little bit, and I find that more than the surface switch. Could certainly find the right group in order to compete. But wanted to see a little bit more than that July 31st race. Was drifting out a little bit, lacked a finish in there, so we'll see. To be fair, it was the first start off the 2-month break, but he could be attacked up front by the 2 Vance Childers runners,
Right.
both with the tack names and Poncho Attack and Bruce Attack.
Yeah, and we'll see if the price does come down a little bit. Currently sitting right now at 7 to 2 on Royal Mendy. 7 Poncho Attack is the one I ended up with in here. 8 to 1 on the board on this one. Israel Hernandez gets the call today. I'm hopeful Poncho Attack moves that form back to the main track, because the last 3 on the turf were all very solid. Now, leading up to that race, the horse hadn't shown a ton on the main track, but I think you find a spot that's decent, and I just tend to wonder if it was more kind of that light bulb angle again. You were victorious in the start, 2 back, ran a decent race on the last out. Maybe it's just more that the horse is figuring things out. We're going to find out today if this horse can handle the dirt, but at least at 9 to 1, it's worth looking into.
I think 9 to 1 is extremely fair odds, even more so. You're getting a lot of value at 9 to 1. I think that is the case. If a horse just putting it together, and a lot like Giano, just finding the right level for his abilities. The races that were on the dirt earlier this season, you can give a pass to that March 23rd race. That's opening day. He was coming off a layoff in there, had a wide trip, and then ran against State-bred maiden special weight company. Not quite on the level, but as far as the race on April 13th, that was one where there was a delay that day, so you can give a little bit of a pass. Not April 13th, I'm sorry. That was May 4th. There was a little bit of a delay that day, and those races are always tricky, and I think moved up after that. So a progressive type. Big look in here at a big price, especially if you're trying to play against those 2 short price runners.
Yeah, and we'll see just kind of how things unfold for this one, but right now, a little bit of action there at 7 to 1. The 4 is Frisian. Frisian right now currently also at 7 to 1. This one from the barn of Cheryl Weinbaugh. Luis Colon gets the call today. And Frisian, coming off those condition claiming races, had run okay. You were on the synthetic for a string of races at Gulfstream Park, back to the dirt. But this is a horse that I don't think will be too far off the pace, and maybe a threat late. And 7 to 1, not a bad price either.
7 to 1, another price that's more than fair on this runner if you could lock it in right now. But again, I think things can change a little bit. The thing I like about Frisian is he is a horse that is a confirmed sprinter, where some of the others were kind of questioning the distance or the class. Frisian fits, and he also has a move forward. This will be the 2nd start of the form cycle, coming back from that August 4th race, where it wasn't an ideal trip. He was wide outside of horses, a little bit 1 pace late, but you can give some consideration that it was that 1st start of the form cycle. Looks well. They're coming back in 25 days. I think he's got a big look in here.
Yeah, and then let's look to the one right behind it in the paddock. That's the one, JJ Solution. Orlando Mojica picking up the call today for trainer John Rednauer. You do have the maiden breaker that did come on the turf. We'll see what happens with this one's move over to the main track today. But JJ Solution had faced some actually decent company working its way through the maiden ranks. In for the condition 20. Horse that probably settles back early, but may be able to pick off some runners in the lane.
If you're just looking at this race from a chaos standpoint, he makes a very good appearance, and it's a type of race where really anybody wouldn't be a surprise because things change so much and horses coming from all over. Second start of the form cycle, another one that hasn't always been in the right level to compete. He's picked up checks, running where he's been protected. I think this could be the right group where he's able to get involved.
Yeah, he does fit well in here, I agree. Currently right now it's 16 to 1. And then lastly is the 9, Bruce Attack. This is the other Vance Childers runner in here. Rashawn Blanche aboard today. A good victory actually in that start, 3 back. This is one that showed a little bit of speed in that race. You see after a really slow start to the career, kind of starting to figure it out a little bit.
I actually liked him getting to the turf. I thought from a physical standpoint, he could definitely handle the turf. More than anything is going to be class. This is a step up in class from his most recent starts, running for that $4,000 tag on the surface switch or on the circuit switch. Higher purse today, just would have to get a lot faster.
Yeah, we'll see how things unfold here as we'll be getting ready to give riders a leg up shortly here for race number 1. Good luck.
Coming on the track for the Thursday opener. Another reminder, we are off the turf today. All the races on the real dirt track. Track is fast. This first race will go 5.5 furlongs. On the dirt track. Scratch 5, AP Blazing Green. Scratch 6, Dastardly Deeds. Scratch 8, Neggy and the Bears. Field of 6, no jockey changes, no overweights. Here they are. 1, JJ Solution, Orlando Mojica riding. 2 is Gianna with Ola Fernandez in the saddle. 3, Royal Mende will be handled by Julio Felix. 4 is Frizen, Luis Colon. 5 and 6 are scratched. 7, Pancho Attack with Israel Hernandez. 8 is scratched. 9, Bruce Attack, Rashawn Blanche in the saddle. First race as Win Play Show, Exacta Trifecta Superfecta starts the rolling daily doubles, rolling pick threes, the 50-cent pick 5 and the $1 place pick 8. Remember, Win Play Show wagers 12% takeout, lowest in the nation. Our place pick 8 also has a low takeout of just 8%. Short and post parades, we do urge you to make your selections early. We're on the main track in just a couple of minutes for the first at Hawthorne. Racing fans, load time remains for you to wager on today's first race here at Hawthorne, which features rolling doubles, rolling pick threes, the 50-cent pick 5, and the $1 place pick 8. We're off to turf today. We do thank you for joining us wherever it may be across the betting network. We'll have a fast track all day today. All the races on the real dirt track, and that track is listed as fast. 9 races on the program, as I mentioned, all on the dirt track. Final call for your first race selection. They're moving towards the gate here at Hawthorne. Racing fans are at the starting gate for today's first race. First of 9 on the Thursday program. All the races on the dirt track. That track is fast. They're loading up for race 1 here at Hawthorne. Last two to go in will be Royal Mende and Bruce Attack. Bruce Attack will move in right along the side of his brother, Poncho Attack. Now they're all in the gate. They're off. Between horses, Royal Mende out very fast for the lead. Frizen came away well with JJ Solution third. And then to the outside, Poncho Attack, still further out, Bruce Attack. The early trailer on the mid backstretch now is JJ Solution as they continue their run on the backstretch. It's Royal Mende the leader. Frizen right alongside Giano's. Mende was second. Frizen third. JJ Solution came on to be fourth. Horse on my mind for some reason. In this race, number 2, Giano's in the winner's circle, owned in